How about Joaquin Phoenix? What y'all think about that? That was bad. All right, I watched it, and I watched that whole interview, and I said to myself, Joaquin Phoenix is a fucking genius. That was like the greatest press appearance I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, that shit was. Yeah, you saw it? Yeah. What'd you think? Why? He was so what? He was not. No, he wasn't stoned with it. Oh, listen, I've been high. He was in complete control of that situation. You understand? This is how brilliant it is. Basically, what he's doing is resisting every protocol of what it's like to be on a late night talk show. He didn't do any of the banter. He didn't do any of that, hey, good to be here, Dave. I got a new movie coming out. He didn't do any of that shit. But he's a completely different kind of celebrity than I am. By design of what he does. He's a fine actor. So you don't know what he's like. Only time you see Joaquin Phoenix, he's in a movie pretending to be somebody completely different. And he's very good at it, so you can't tell what he's actually like. So this is the first time he ever stepped out in front of his work, and he was like, made a point not to be charming at all. How have you been? Good. What are you working on? Music. What kind of music? Hip hop. And then everybody laughed, and he goes, is that funny? I said, this guy's a fucking genius. 10 minutes on Letterman, he was on every publication the next day. He was in USA Today. Look how crazy it is. Everyone was talking about, he's a fucking nut. He must have been high or something. Joaquin was probably reading that shit like. I said, this guy is fucking brilliant. And you know who the guest on after him was? Exactly. Who gives a fuck what happened after that?
It was amazing. Joaquin has this amazing commitment and intensity that helps draw you into your character as much as he's drawn into his.
Such a learning experience, obviously. But for me, more than anything, Paul really does give you a long leash, and you really have creative power. And that's the first time that I had that. Usually it's go to the director, okay, what do you want me to change? And with Paul, it was more, well, what do you want to add? And for me to have that, it was great as an actress to be able to do that.
And playing Joaquin's love interest early in the film, what was that like?
Fun. He's a good kisser.
I think he just has such a lovely way of making you feel relaxed, and he was very humble, and he was really thoughtful and kept kind of thinking of me, which I think just says a lot about him as a person, and such a talent. So I was very lucky.
Thomas Anderson, what was his set like? What was the atmosphere like there with all these powerhouses on?
He's an amazing actor, an amazing person, and every day working with him on set was just full of fun and excitement, and truly a blessing in my shoes.
Yeah. Yep.
I heard that you based your portrayal of Joffrey on Joaquin Phoenix's character in Gladiator. Is that true, and why?
Yeah, it is true. Kind of not that consciously, so to speak, but the more and more I acted the character, I kind of realized that there were similarities between the two. Just I think because there's similarities between the characters. They're both kind of petulant and egotistical and show-offy, and Joaquin Phoenix is just an incredible actor, so I suppose I look up to him and that performance. Yeah.
We did the scene with Josh and Joaquin and myself in the police station. We were just laughing all the time. I mean, we got that moment where we get the giggles. We were like 7-year-old. We were 7th graders. All the actors and Paul. So yeah, he's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And goes to show you can have fun and still do good work.
He would take a scene that takes place on a table, and he'll move it into a car, and it was like dancing in a way, and I really enjoyed it. I think working with Joaquin and my scenes with Josh Brolin too were a lot of fun. There was a lot of laughing, and Paul was laughing at us. So that was fun.
I mean, that was a thing when I first got the call. I was like, what? Gus Van Sant? Joaquin Phoenix? And I read the script and I read the part and I was like, so I wonder if Gus wrote the script and said, now who am I gonna get to play the blowhard asshole? Oh, I know, Jack Black. Yeah, my agent called me and said, hey, Gus wants you for this part. It's gonna be you and Joaquin Phoenix. I was like, you mean like to die for? And I just said yes. I was so stoked. I remember the first movie I ever saw. I think my parents took me to Murder by Death, which is really inappropriate for a kid, but they didn't know. They didn't care. They were like, you're coming with us. And I remember it was so funny. Now it's inappropriate. It was like Peter Sellers was playing a Chinese detective. So wrong on so many levels now. But at the time, it was hilarious. Anyway, you saved me. You never save me when I'm digging myself a hole.
Yeah, like you and Joaquin have this incredibly moving bond in the film, and it's truthful about the 12-step process, and it's just amazing. The audiences have been reacting so well. Tell me about working with Joaquin on the film.
Joaquin would hate that we're talking about him right now. He would not really enjoy it. But he's such a beautiful person, such a beautiful actor, and I'd say experientially as an actor, this was the most immersive and enjoyable and cathartic experience I've ever had. It was just a really unbelievably educational and fulfilling experience.
And obviously working with Phoenix and Mara as well, who actually give mesmerising performances as well. How was that for you guys? Did you ever get lost in just watching them like working together?
Yeah, it's amazing to work with a group of really terrific actors, and Tahara as well, and Rooney and Joaquin, and just as an actor, just having that awareness that you're kind of excited to see the product, even when you're shooting it, because you know that over there somewhere is some other part of the performance that is really interesting and dynamic, but you're sort of too involved in a way to see it. So it's really exciting. Everybody was sort of occupying their own space and doing their own thing and really finding their own individual characters, and in fact everybody across the board. All of the disciples, all of the, just everybody was, doing a lot of investigative work and researching and coming up with ideas, and it was very fully owned.
Well, to improvise or even
it's just
just to respond.
Absolutely.
And to be present.
To respond to what's around you, to
Yeah.
be present, exactly. Because I always find that if I go into a scene with an idea of how the scene's going to go, it never goes that way. And that's when you get lost, is when you're trying to steer the scene. I've learned that. I used to try to steer scenes, and I would get really panicky. There was a scene in The Master I shot with Joaquin, and he wasn't waking up.
So many good movies,
Right, he was not waking up. I was supposed to wake him up, and he wasn't waking up. And I was like, Paul, you got to tell him to wake up. He's like, no, you got to wake him up. And I was like,
awesome.
I don't know what to do. I freaked out because I was like, no, here's how the scene goes. See, I go over, I shake him. I wish I'd pour water on his head now. I'd be like, you want to play that game, Joaquin? Here you go. I'm going to wake you up. But he's like, slap him. I'm like, I don't want to slap him. Like, I was so...
wow.
I didn't roll with it. And I learned a lesson from that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually we got there, but I had in my head how the scene was going to go.
Yeah,
and it
had the
stuck
result
me.
You'd love to collaborate with?
There's loads. God, there's loads. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix, I think he's amazing.
Have you seen Joker?
I have seen Joker.
That was a phenomenal performance, though, right?
It's an astonishing performance, yeah. It's amazing.
It's funny that you mentioned that because he transforms into that role, even though the Joker isn't real, the way I feel like you melted into Elton.
Well, that's very, very kind of you. I mean, he's a lovely man, and actually he reached out to me after Rocket Man, and I met him recently, and he's a wonderful, wonderful person and a great actor, and I thought his performance in that movie was sort of I mean, scarily believable. I found it hard to watch actually. But
Oh yeah, no, it's disturbing, but it's sort of like you can't look away.
Freak.
They did a wonderful job of capturing their vision, and visually, I thought that the movie was just really well done. The cinematography was some of my favorite of the year. Yeah, it was a wild ride, and it was fun too because they were shooting right next to us in Brooklyn at the Steiner studio for a lot of it, and you know, every once in a while I would see little glimpses of it, and I was like, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that on camera. So I'm glad that I got a chance to see it. Yeah, it was really subtle and different than what's been done before, and you know, it's hard because I feel like with performances with characters that have been portrayed by multiple people, for some reason, people always want to pit them against each other and say like, this one is good, this one is not good. In reality, performances exist on this continuum of the performance needs to be right for the material that's within. The story that they wanted to tell with that movie, I thought his performance fit in perfectly, and it accomplished exactly what they wanted to do. In the same way Heath Ledger's or Jack Nicholson's or these other guys did as well. But yeah, it was really great to be able to see.
Kate Blanchett.
Thank you. There are a lot of Australians in the room tonight, and I know we're all very grateful for the call-outs to our fellow compatriots who are suffering under the bushfires. So thank you. And our next motion picture, drama, is a gritty and original character study that holds a mirror up to our society and disturbingly reflects on our times. Directed by Todd Phillips, it stars Joaquin Phoenix in a mesmerizing, jaw-dropping, and from an actor's perspective, utterly inspiring performance as a man struggling in a world lacking empathy and humanity. It's nominated for 4 Golden Globes. This is Joker.
In this film, I want to talk about something that's quite sensitive. Harley is now single. I know, sorry if you're watching this, Harley.
No, she's fine with it. She is.
But I hear there is now a new Joker, Oscar-nominated Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
Yes.
Could you ever see those two possibly getting together in the future?
I think they exist in 2 very different worlds, 2 very different, like Todd Phillips' Gotham and this Gotham, very different. I don't know how you'd bridge that gap.
They wouldn't get on. I mean, she's too wild, he's too getting in fridges and being a bit too
yeah.
upset with the world. They would not get on all right.
She would just be, she'd drive him insane. She'd be on the other side of the fridge like, here.
Come out.
Jay Puddin', what you doing?
And I just got
He's like, I just need a minute. I'm going through a lot of shit.